Hello, parents and teachers who may be watching. Welcome to Creating Math Ahas for Parents. I'm Dr. Sandy Atkins, Sandy. In the last video I posted, I looked at telling time and how to help your child understand the difference between the units of hour, minute, and seconds, and looked at a progression of helping them build those understandings. In this video, I'd like to take some time to look at understanding days, weeks, and months. Because really, in your child's schooling experience, we actually start with understanding what goes on in their life today, and then tomorrow, yesterday. So we build from there. So we want to think about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Now, for young children, it's very common for them to think of yesterday as in the past and tomorrow as in the future. It takes some time for them to start to understand that if today is Tuesday, then yesterday, or Wednesday, then yesterday would be Tuesday. So when we start to think about it, your child might just have in their classroom either a chart like this. I think of laminated, even sheets of paper, but charts. There might be a pocket chart, something that teachers are putting in what their day will consist of. So if it's Tuesday, it might say something about circle time, when they're doing math or reading, if they get to go to art or music or PE, if they get a snack and when that might be in the sequence of things. And this helps your child just start to understand sequencing. And then we can talk about before and after. Those are key foundational ideas. What came before, what's going on now, what will happen after. Now, as I said, today's Tuesday, and we go through that sequence. And then tomorrow on Wednesday, it might be the same thing. The children get to see what their day is going to consist of. Now, some children are very flexible. They're okay with whatever comes. No problem. But other children sometimes get a little anxious when they don't know what's going to be happening. So not only does this give us a way to sequence events and help them with sequencing, but it also lets them understand what's coming next, what to expect. Now, as I showed a little bit, if today's Wednesday, yesterday isn't just in the past, it's that day before, right? Tuesday. Now, sometimes I know some teachers who, when they put up the yesterday chart, some of the things might be missing that they did yesterday. And that gives them another opportunity to say, well, what did we do after we did reading? What did we do before we went to lunch? So it helps with that terminology again. Then as we keep going, we can talk about, oh, that's what we did yesterday, and preview some things that are coming tomorrow. And we might do that 3-day sequence for a while until your child really starts to understand that idea again, that yesterday wasn't just things we did in the past, that there's an immediate time frame for yesterday and then for tomorrow. Then we also have the day before yesterday, the day after tomorrow. And these concepts are not just something that are innate, that are easily come by. It takes some time to work through them. And you could do similar things at home with them. As I said, I tend to laminate the sheets of paper so we can use dry erase markers and erase and add to it. Sometimes I have the cards, I drop them and let them get all mixed up so that the children can actually order those days of the week. And then we add in that Saturday, Sunday, that weekend. Now, I know some children who think of the weekend as a single day, like our weeks are made up of 6 days. So you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend. School days, weekend. So it takes a little doing to help them understand that the weekend consists of 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And your children may learn songs in school to help them remember the days of the week. I know in some schools I visited, they do a days of the week song to the old Addams Family theme song. And you might hear something like days of the week, days of the week, There's Monday and there's Tuesday, there's Wednesday and there's Thursday, there's Friday and there's Saturday, and then there's Sunday, days of the week. Okay, so they practice singing that song. Now, one thing we want to make sure your child understands is that days of the week go in a certain order, just like numbers go in a certain order. And once we learn that sequence, it's going to be consistent throughout. Same with days of the week. Now, some, once they get to calendars, the first day of the week might be a Sunday, not a Monday. But a lot of times that song starts with the first day of the school week. But what we want to start doing, and if you sing that song with your child, is start with whatever day it happens to be. Let's say today is Thursday. I can do the same thing. Days of the week, days of the week. There's Thursday and there's Friday, there's Saturday and Sunday, there's Monday and there's Tuesday, and then there's Wednesday, days of the week, right? I can start with whatever day it is and get them to understand that we can still talk about the days of the week in order, no matter what day we start with. So getting them that flexibility built in, getting them comfortable with that sequencing. Now, we have this week. Let me go back here. We can talk now about this week. And if you notice, I start to connect these days of the week. I've highlighted Saturday, Sunday a little differently, a little wider band, right? But once we get that week, instead of only showing the 3 days, I want to show them the full week. And we can preview what are some things you're going to do on Saturday? What are some things you might do Sunday? And we might prefer to have Sunday as the first day, so it starts to match the calendar, the month calendar. But I think you'll get the idea here is I don't want to get rid of this week. So I might have a second version. And I put up now, if you think about the center one as this week, I'm going to keep last week's handy. So now we start to do the same idea that we did with today and yesterday and tomorrow. I can do with this week, last week, and next week. This is a way we can also preview special events that are coming. If the children are going on a field trip, or they have some special program, or there's a special field day or a music idea, it's a way they can preview it or revisit it, remind themselves. And again, last week, this week, next week. Now, once we've done that, I'm sure you can start to see where this is going and anticipate those. This week, next week, last week, start to come together. And now we've got the month calendar and starting to think about the months of the year. Now, we won't go into that, but you can think of the same thing. If this month, right, happens to be September, what was last month? August. What's next month? October. We could do it in the same way I've done with days of the week. Have a different month on each sheet. Sometimes you see this where birthdays are identified, whose birthday is in August and whose birthday's in September, or whose birthday's in November, right, in October. So they see birthdays with months, but we can get them start to sequencing the months of the year and talk about last month, this month, and next month. It's all going to be parallel in developing understandings, but in a way it snowballs for us. Once the children develop that, they start to see the patterns, and that's exactly what we want. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time kind of on day. Years ago, I was talking with some first graders. And I talked with one little first grader, and I asked her, how long are you in PE during the day? She said, oh, I think about 6 minutes. I said, great. How long are you at school during the day? I think about 10 minutes. And I said, well, how long do you sleep at night? Oh, about an hour. Now, this is a grade 1 student, and it just tells us that we need to develop more experiences for her with kind of duration and how long things take, developing that sense of units of time. Now, I got a chance to talk to another little girl from the same class. And I said, how long are you at PE? And she said, well, we go at 9:30. I'd say 20, 30 minutes. And I said, well, how long are you at school during the day? She goes, I think about 6 or 7 hours. Now think about the differences. And these two children happen to be in the same classroom. So there's that variety of understanding. And it again tells us what kinds of experiences do we need to do with the different children. But I asked this second child, how long do you sleep at night? And she goes, well, I do this sometimes. I know there's 24 hours in a day, but I don't know yet how long night is. Now think about that. See, that's not so clear-cut either, right? I said, oh, a day. What do you mean day? Well, it's when it's light out. They associate daytime with being light out. She goes, I think night is a little shorter. I think it's like 20 hours. So it gives us some great insights into what your children might be thinking and understanding. Now, once we get that idea of 24 hours in a day, including night, darkness, and light, right? That's going to be something we want to think about. And I've worked with some teachers where they tried to help their children. They had a circle, they colored half of it in like a midnight blue, half in yellow to give them 12 hours day, 12 hours night. But if you have a child like our child who's thinking of day meaning light out and night meaning dark out, it can get very confusing. The same idea comes in when we start to think about AM and PM and what the time is. So really helping our children understand the 24 hours in the day, how long it takes to do one rotation. The Earth does one rotation, a little less than 24 hours, right? But we use that as 24 hours. And then the fact that we cut that in half. Now think about some of the math that's helpful to do here. What's half of 24? How did they do that? And so helping them understand that we divide that 24 hours into two parts, right? One 12-hour section and another 12-hour section. Any children that are brought up around military time, the 24-hour clock, sometimes that helps them understand the 24 hours. And then we get to our others. See, the key is noon and midnight. It's not about light and dark. It's about that 12-hour segment and that anti-meridium. Meridium is noon. So we've got pre-noon and post-noon. So from midnight to 11:59 a.m., right? That's our pre-noon time. Then we get noon, and then from that until we get to 11:59 p.m., post-noon. PM, right? So it's helping your child understand how that Earth rotates. Takes about 24 hours to do that. And then we just cut it in half for our clock. And the clock, and we were looking at telling time in the last video, I talked about a clock wrapping on itself, right? Every set of 12 hours, we wrap on ourselves on that clock. Same idea, right? And then once we do the 24-hour, we start over. So key to understanding AM and PM is understanding 24 hours in a day. That noon and midnight are really key times. That's when we start back right at the top of our clock again. And that AM just means those hours before you get to noon. And PM means the hours after noon until you get to midnight. Okay. And we want your children to understand that you could have a 8 a.m. and an 8 p.m. And our activities are going to look different for each of those times. So have them think of some things they might be doing at 7 p.m. versus 7 a.m. What are some things they might be doing at 10 a.m. versus 10 p.m.? Okay, and help them build those understandings, those patterns that will help us as we're actually telling time. So in the experience for your children, this video looking at days, yesterday, today, tomorrow, looking at weeks, last week, this week, next week, understanding the relative time frame for each of those units of time, the immediacy of yesterday and tomorrow, day before, day after, and even just sequencing events and doing before and after are important for your child's understanding of time. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share with others, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, welcome to those of you who have newly subscribed and have been loyal subscribers. I really appreciate it. If you click on the notifications bell, you'll know when additional videos are available. Thanks so much for watching.